Hey, Jim Schultz back with you guys for another episode inside of the Greeks Crash Course. This is episode number 2, and this guy is going to be all about theta. Now, next to delta, what we covered in episode number 1, this is probably the Greek that we use the most often at the position level and the portfolio level. So this guy is critically important to your success as a premium selling option trader. Now, we're going to follow the same structure that we did in episode 1. We're going to cover 4 things: what the Greek is, how we primarily use it, and use this Greek to improve our returns, and how we can use this Greek to decrease our risk. So without further ado, let's dive right into episode number 2, theta. Okay, so what is theta? Well, let's break this thing down in the same way that we did in episode number 1 with delta. Let's talk about the mathematical side of things, and then let's talk about the intuitive side of things. Mathematically, theta is actually pretty simple. It simply measures how an option price will change with each passing day. So what you're effectively doing is you are putting a value on the calendar. See, options are very different from stock in a lot of different ways, but one of which is this: options have a fixed endpoint. Options have an expiration date, and as you get closer and closer and closer to that expiration date, the extrinsic value of the option, ceteris paribus, has to go lower and lower and lower. That's what theta is measuring. That's what theta is capturing. This process, this whole idea of extrinsic value going lower as you get closer and closer to expiration, that is more commonly referred to as time decay. Now, for those of you that might want to dig even deeper into the mathematics, it might be helpful to know a couple of things. Number 1, theta is a first derivative of the Black-Scholes model with respect to time. And number 2, theta is not a linear function. It is dynamic. It changes from one day to the next based on a myriad of factors, 2 of which are these. Number 1, how much time you have left in the cycle is very important to determining the actual value, the actual, the increments of theta and how they change from one day to the next. But then number 2, the moneyness of the option, out of the money options, in the money options, at the money options. All of these guys decay differently, and they possess different amounts of theta. All right, so now that we have the mathematical foundation in place, let's turn to the intuitive side of things. And the intuitive explanation of theta is actually pretty straightforward. Here's a couple of things that you want to understand. Number 1, theta is represented in actual dollars. So for example, if you had a theta of 0.03, that would mean that that option is going to decay by 3 cents per share with each passing day. Now remember, every contract is 100 shares. So you could talk about this on a per share basis, 3 cents, or you could talk about this on a per contract basis of $3. Typically, when we communicate with one another as traders, we opt for the latter, referring to a theta of 0.03 as actually 3, or using kind of the whole per contract value of theta in our communication with one another. But then number 2, and this might be one of the most important things to understand when it comes to theta, the theta for short options is positive, and the theta for long options is negative. Put very simply, this means that the passage of time helps short options. The passage of time hurts long options. All right, so how do we use theta at? Biggest benefit of theta, guys, is in its being a non-directional metric in the marketplace. Right, as we talked about back in episode number 1, when we laid down, kind of the basic foundation of delta, this is an unpredictable market, right? Things happen pretty randomly, so it can be pretty difficult to predict direction. It can be pretty difficult, i.e. impossible, to predict where a stock might be going next. But we can all be pretty sure that tomorrow is Tuesday, or next week is the last week of the month, or whatever the case may be. So this gives us a ton more control in an otherwise unpredictable marketplace. And also, our research has shown through the various management techniques that we apply to all of our positions, that we apply to our entire portfolio, that is way beyond the scope of this episode, or even this entire crash course, that we can expect to keep approximately 25% of our daily theta. So now, with that number in my back pocket, I've got something I can work with, right? I've got something that I can use to build out return projections, to build out, risk tolerance. Go back to the first crash course. Hey, quick shout out to that little ditty that we dropped last September where we talked about portfolio thetas of 0.1%, portfolio thetas of 0.3%, or whatever the case may be. I can use all this to now begin to build a portfolio that's going to make sense to me and my return projections, my return expectations, my risk tolerance, and all of those things. All right, so now what everybody really wants to know, how do I improve my returns with little old theta? Well, what we're going to see here, this is very similar to what we saw in episode 1 with delta. In fact, you could even make the case this is even simpler than what we saw in episode 1 with delta. If you want to improve your returns with theta, once you understand that theta effectively represents the value of each passing day, all you have to do is increase the value of each passing day. All you have to do is increase your overall portfolio theta as a premium seller, so now the passage of time becomes more and more valuable to you. That sounds pretty good. But you might be asking, Jim, are there any risks associated with this? Well, I'm really glad you brought that up. All right, so now how do we decrease our risk with theta? Well, here, the old adage, it rings true again. There is no gimme without a corresponding gotcha. And when it comes to theta, things can actually get a little bit slippery. And that's because before we talk about decreasing risk with theta, let's begin by talking about increasing risk with theta. And to do so, I want to start with this important disclaimer. More theta means more risk. Maybe not directly, but indirectly for sure. And here's how. The primary way that you are going to build up theta in your portfolio is through undefined risk strategies, like strangles, like short puts, like ratio spreads, like straddles, etc. Vertical spreads, iron condors, butterflies. These are terrific strategies, but they're not going to build up appreciable amounts of theta. Undefined risk positions are going to do that. Okay. If you have more undefined risk positions on, then you are exposed to bigger and bigger swings in P&L. Now, naturally, you can mitigate this by being delta neutral, by keeping your directional bias in check, etc., etc. But it's important to understand that by having more undefined risk positions on, you are exposed to wilder swings. If you are exposed to wilder swings, then you are exposed to more risk. If you are exposed to more risk with theta, there's your gotcha. So naturally then, if you want to decrease your risk with theta, what you need to do is target lower theta amounts at the overall portfolio level, like we talked about in that first crash course. Rather than going for 0.3% or 0.4%, you might want to target 0.1% of total net lake or 0.2% of total net lake. There is no right or wrong answer. This isn't about being right or wrong. This isn't about being better or worse. It truly is about gimmies and gotchas. It truly is about figuring out what makes the most sense for you and understanding that if you want more return, you have to be willing to accept more risk. And if you want to take your risk down with theta, you have to be willing to accept lower return targets. All right, guys, so we made it. We have reached the end of episode 2 on theta inside of the Greeks crash course. If you wanted to share this episode with one of your trader friends, that would be amazing. Be sure and save this episode for a future reference. And when you are ready, I will see you inside of episode number 3 of the Greeks crash course, where we are going to cover Vega. We'll see you there.